What's up, everybody? It's Win back in. We're back on Grim Dawn today. So I just want to set up this this video to go over with you the build breakdown so far, abilities, items, devotions, everything, and then kind of give you an idea of where we're going, what we're looking at as we venture off. We're level 61, so we're caught up with our Spellbreaker, and we are at the same point in the story with the Forgotten Gods expansion. So, that being said, we won't waste any more time talking about the build. Let's just jump into it. As you can see right now, we are rocking Decree of the Circle of the Five and the Empowered Aether Woe. Both of these are doing Aether damage for us. They're bumping that up super hard. And you can see, where is it? It's up here. Oh my god, no, it's on. It is on page 2. What the fuck? Am I blind? There it is. Holy shit. That is the vast majority of our damage on this build. We've got Cold as a backup. Obviously, huge percentage boost there. Just not a whole lot of base damage baked in there to multiply outwards. But as of this moment, that doesn't mean a whole lot because, like I said, both of our weapons are doing Aether damage. And we haven't really gotten a decent cold one to swap out to. All that should change at level 65 once we get Ulzad's Channeler. Assuming those numbers even out. And then at level 75, obviously, we're probably just going to jump right back to Aether damage. I know what I'm doing. Anyway, so Aether is where a lot of our abilities are doing damage anyway. Siphon Souls, Bone Harvest is mostly cold. And Ill Omen is cold as well, with some vitality baked in. Ring of Steel is also cold, so it's going to be better to have cold weapons, but we have pretty decent options to fall back on. With Siphon Souls, we did take the talent that's letting us change the damage type from Vitality to Aether, which is super handy. And then obviously we've got our Veil of Shadow back here, dealing cold damage with the... called Night's Chill. 12 points into that. It's just base damage aura, which is super handy. The Spectral Binding, obviously doing some more Aether damage for us there, giving us a pretty big health bump. And we've got our Aether weapons, which is this bad boy. We've got our Ice Surge, which is going to be, pretty sure this guy? Nope. Nope, that's Chilling Weapons. It's one of these. May actually be just given to us by an item. Blast. Well, anyway, Chilling Weapons given to us by the Aether Woe. I will figure out. It's not. Oh, it is. There we go. It is. It's given to us by our relic, the Glacier, which is super handy. The Devil's Cage we're using just for the CC when we get attacked. Obviously, playing in melee, you're going to want to have a lot of health. You're going to want to be able to survive. It's going to be easier to do that if the enemies are CC'd. We've got our Death Sword here, giving us plenty of skills into our Necromancer tree, but also giving us a cheat death. I have not paid much attention to my rings so far because they're just kind of there to buff some damage. I don't have any good replacements yet, so that's where we're sitting with those. Belt, Boneweave Girdle, kind of same bucket. It's giving us some vitality damage and some life leech, but at the same time, I don't necessarily care about any of the other stats with the exception of the Siphon Souls points. So it's kind of whatever. The Ill Omen and Pneumatic Burst points from our metal, the Death's Whale Mark. Super handy. I do use both of those abilities, and I want them as high up as I can get them. And then the Slit Scale Leg Wraps, giving us +2 to Shadow Strike, which is our movement ability. Not necessarily the most important of the abilities, but it is giving us some decent stats on the other side, too. Haven't found a decent replacement for the Wraith Knight's Pauldrons just yet, so we'll let that go. It's buffing our Bone Harvest, but right now Bone Harvest isn't super high on our list of priorities. This is all the gear that I'm going to try to be speccing into, but as you can tell, level 75, 82, a lot of this is pretty far off. Ultimately, though, giving us pretty big boosts to a lot of stats all over the place. We'll get into those a bit later, but I do want to hop onto the devotions while I am thinking about them, because I do have a bit to explain here. Now, I did want to ultimately go into Ugal, the Insatiable Knight, and then the Black Blood of Ugal. They're summons, but they're doing cold and acid damage, which is kind of what I want. Yeah, this tree is just buffing cold. At the end of the day, I want it to be more a cold build than it is an Aether build, so Aether's just kind of place holding at the moment. In order to get there, though, what we've done so far is picked mostly green and red with some blue scattered about there, because you can't pass up Tsunami if you want cold damage. And turns out Blizzard here is cold as well. Who would have known? Snow, cold, blizzard, whatever. Arcane Bomb is just kind of sitting in the back here because it's Aether damage. It's helping me right now. I may get rid of the Widow later on for something better. But currently, we're kind of speccing down here into Murmur for the... I believe she's Cold and Acid. Yes, she is Cold and Acid, which is going to lead into Yagal over here. Pretty good. And then we've got our Bat with the Twin Fangs, again helping us with the Life Leech. Being a melee, being a two-handed, attack speed needer. Later on, that's going to be super important. And then we're going to be speccing into Behemoth as well for some more survivability devotions. We've also got Jackal filling in some space so we can get built further out this direction, or to the left. And then the Hawk just filling in some green spots for us. Don't know if we're going to be hanging on to the Toad. Probably going to pop those points out to stick them into something else eventually. But for the moment, they're not doing any harm. So going to leave those there. But our endgame constellation, obviously, this bad boy here, the Black Blood of Ugal, and Ugal the Insatiable Knight. I've already talked far too much about the build so far. Just remember, it's basically an aura build. It's got AoE all around us, doing Aether damage and cold damage and a little bit of piercing damage. So, a lot of the time, stuff just dies around us. That being said, let's venture out into, I believe here is where we want to go. So we can find a whole bunch of lost people hiding out in some ruins down in the basement. This is the wrong basement. Oh my god, they all exploded. And I didn't even know they were there until they were dead. It's nasty. I did dump a whole bunch of points into my Ring of Steel so far. I don't want to go that way, I think. I know where I need to go, but I have already forgotten where that is, because I found it while I was grinding, and I didn't want to do anything with it, because it looks like it had some pretty decent dialogue to it. Which is, hindsight, maybe not the best way to approach things. But gotta get him up to level some way, somehow. And being that there's two characters that we're playing in conjunction with each other, it's a little bit tough to figure out who goes where, what gets what, how much attention I devote to any given stuff at the specific moment I'm thinking about it. Because, God, if you see my attention span, you let me know. You fucking let me know. 11 points into our Ring of Steel. Once we max this bad boy out, we're going into dual blades. We're going to be capping out our devotion bar, the Nightblade mastery bar. That's it. And then we're going to get execution as well. So we need 10 more points to fill up that bar. Execution, obviously, is going to be doing a bunch of cold damage on our auto attacks, and Dual Blades is going to speed up the speed of the auto attacks, which is going to be handy. We may actually lose some of the abilities that we are working with here later on to make space for those two passives, because, as it stands at the moment, I have a whole bunch of abilities that are about half full in Ill Omen and Bone Harvest. Bone Harvest we're probably going to hang on to. Actually, both Bone Harvest and Ill Omen both do cold damage, so not sure yet. Not sure. At the moment, since we're still playing on normal, there's not a whole lot for me to worry about. I don't have to be super considerate about tunneling into one damage type over the other. But that was the first blizzard I've seen so far. I really need to up my attack speed. Really need to up to my attack speed and crit chance, so I need some offensive ability. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so our damage type isn't super important at the moment. Stuff is still dying relatively quick because of the difficulty level. And until we get to a point where we're actually being killed, wow, it's exploded. It's not going to be a super big concern. Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze. Didn't want to blow your ears out. That was bad. Oh, it was just like crawled up inside my brain and sat there for a solid 30 seconds trying to make me figure out when it was going to happen. Oh, all right, now that that's out of the way, back to the game. So the Reaper class, obviously, it has a little bit of... I think anything coupled with Nightblade is always going to have a little bit of an identity crisis, because the Nightblade itself doesn't have an exclusive ability like a lot of the other classes are. I guess maybe that prevents it from having an identity crisis, right? Sometimes you're like, oh god, do I pick the occultist exclusive, or do I pick the necromancer? Do I pick the whatever exclusive ability here? Because you can only have one once you've maxed out that mastery bar. The Nightblade, though, doesn't give you the option. So once you hit max mastery bar with the Nightblade, you only have, I think Execution is the only ability. Well, no, you get Blade Spirit, right? But that's not exclusive. And then you get the upgrade to your Shadow Strike, which is Nightfall, which is a cold ability, which is totally something I'm going to invest into later on, too. Lots of different ways that we are getting pulled with this build. And I still have a lot of points to fill in on the Necromancer side of things. So, decisions must be made, but currently the build, it's got enough damage from different sources that I feel comfortable with it. First time of you Bone Harvest since venturing out into the desert. Okay, well, the fact that I'm not using the button very often is probably a good indicator of just how little I pay attention to my bar. So maybe that's a good decision maker when it comes time to pull out the chopping block. Okay. So at the point in the story, though, we're looking for basically a temple that this dude and his brothers were trying to explore, looking for riches. Who the fuck do you think you are? And we need to find one brother, because the other brother said that he hadn't returned. He's in certain danger, obviously being a demon-infested desert of wonders. I would be a little bit worried too, you know? Just kill everything here, not taking much. That took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. Now, we do have a second movement ability. I bought a glyph for my metal, or a rune. I think that's what they're called. I'm not super fascinated with the way that it works. It's just essentially a movement ability, and it actually requires a target, which I'm not a super huge fan of. At least with the other runes that I have on my other characters, you could just move to a point in space rather than having to have an enemy present. So holy shit, can you go away? Thank you. Blocking me in there. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, yeah. You just free movement instead of this. You need somebody to click on. Give me one sec. Those Discord notifications are not going to go away. If we could just mute for 8 hours. There we go. Perfect! Gonna leave that the way it is. Sorry about the annoying dings if you heard them. If not, you are an angel. Those enemies are a little bit more tanky than I wish that they were. Oh. I think that my auras, since my auras are all cold damage. Ooh, we got an Eldritch Essence. Fuck you. I'm losing a bit of steam out of my cold damage. Nope, definitely don't need that. I don't think I need these either. No. Close that one. I don't want to crowd my stash tab or my inventory tab that has my build items in it. So that's why we switched up. That's why we'll always sell items once we get full up on the first tab, because everything else that I have is kind of full up of necessary items. Wow, necessary. Which is probably a good habit for everybody, honestly. These 4 tabs over here, I use pretty specifically for hoarding blue items that I'm trying to make a decision on. Crafting materials that are not components, and then there's that build tab where I know that I want to use those specific items, and I don't want to stick them in my inventory because I don't want to stick them in my stash because I'll forget about them. So I have them just kind of sitting in that tab in particular to make sure that they are at the forefront of my mind. Why are you here? I didn't switch back to this, did I? Oh, that's unfortunate. All right, get this shit out of here. I need this tab. There we go. Are any of these? Player level 66. Dual blades, though. Ooh. Cold and frostburn damage. What do we have for shoulders right now? 65 as well. I think we just found better shoulders. Chillmane mantle. Obviously, the armor is much higher on the Bone Wraith pauldrons, but this is definitely more in the vein of what I need. We'll leave them both over there for now. Sorry, playing Inventory Management Simulator 2020. Oh, I know, it's fascinating. Right, we're going to leave that there. Not pick up any more greens. Some dynamite. Is that a ghost? No, that's staying there too. You shouldn't go messing around with every random corpse you come across. You're dead? Yeah, no kidding. You're a smart one, ain't you? Sorry, I don't mean to be rude. This is just a new thing for me. Being dead? Yeah, being dead. Are you toying with me? I gotta be honest, stranger, I don't feel dead. I mean, I can see you there poking around my corpse, but here I am just standing here. Guess I'm a ghost or something. What do you know about that? Your brother sent me to find you, sir. Aral, an anorak? So Aral made it out all right. That damn rat. When I told him to run, I didn't mean for him to take off on me. I suppose I can't blame him. I probably scared the pants off of him, screaming about how we had to get out of here. Whoa, what the hell happened? Well, we got down to the heart of the temple, expecting to find nothing but skeletons and a bunch of loot. But there's a crazy old man down there with an army of ghosts. Without so much as saying hello, the old freak cast some sort of spell at me. I panicked, told Oral to run. We took off for the exit like a couple of scared kids, and the whole place started shaking, rocks falling from the ceiling and everything. I was dodging left and right, but I think one of them must have clocked me right in the melon, because everything went black all of a sudden. Next thing I remember is looking down at you snooping around my body. Must be old man spell to turn me into a ghost or whatever this is. Something tells me I ain't getting out of here till somebody puts a stop to that old bastard scheming. Don't suppose you're up for a good fight? Oh, buddy, do you even know me? Want to go down there and beat some sense in that old weirdo? You are speaking my language, sir. But we'll take care of that next time on Grim Dawn. Thank you so much for hanging out. Let me know so far in the comments what you think about the story thus far, or the build, or my fantastic transmogging. Let's be real here. Or how your own experience is going if you have a Reaper. Thanks again for watching. I will see you next time, and we will pick up whacking the old ghost man.